Hi, I'm Ted Wolf, presented by Guidewise. Welcome to the Implementors podcast, where we connect you to the stories and insights of people who have mastered implementation. Why? Because ideas are easy, but implementation is hard. Join us as we uncover the secrets of successful implementation so you can conquer your implementation struggles. Quick break from the conversation, because this might be the most important invitation you get all year. Are you leading people through change right now? Rolling out strategy? Launching new tech? Or just trying to keep up with the speed of AI? Then don't miss our upcoming Guidewise Workshop, Execution or Extinction: How to Lead Change in the Age of AI. 72% of change efforts fail, not because of bad strategy, but because of hidden resistance. You can't fix what you can't see, and that's where we come in. This workshop will give you the tools to overcome people resistance, diagnose belief and behavior breakdowns, and drive adoption with speed, clarity, and confidence. You'll walk away with a 90-day implementation roadmap and the career skill that separates leaders who thrive from those who get left behind. Seats are limited. Click the link in the description to join the waitlist and be the first to know when registration opens. And as a courtesy to our community of implementers, we've waived the admission fee. Just use the promo code IMPLEMENT when you sign up. Now, back to the discussion. Welcome to the Implementors podcast presented by Guidewise, where we focus on the topic of implementation because ideas are easy, but implementation is hard. Today, our guests are pioneers at the intersection of generative AI and enterprise enablement. Dominik Lambersy, the co-founder of TextCortex, and Baris Sen, its growth leader, are creating one of Europe's most fastest growing and most impactful AI platforms. If you've ever asked yourself the question, how do we get our people to use AI and the flow of work? Dominik and Baris are here to share their blueprint. TextCortex is known for just not building powerful technology, but for fostering AI implementation networks focused on one thing: value creation through education and execution. Their obsession has paid off. They now have 2 million active users on their platform. So Dominik and Baris, welcome to Implementors.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Dominik, I'd like to start the conversation with you as co-founder. How did you and your co-founder come up with the idea for TextCortex, then get it off the ground?
No, I mean, both of us started working in this whole field of large language models in 2018, 2019. Back then, there was this news article which said, oh, this is the AI which is too dangerous to be released. People were talking about GPT-2 back in the days. It was kind of like the interest or the spark of interest in both of us. We met in 2021, actually. I was at the venture capital fund. Jayhun, my co-founder, was a data lead in a larger travel platform here in Europe. And he was very early building different types of MVPs. And when we met in 2021, he had this cute little, we call it the heating in our history now. Under his desk, it was a server rack with GPUs where he fine-tuned those GPT-2 language models on product description, on blog posts, etc. And I tried them out a little bit, and I've seen, GPT-2 was back in the days capable to write like a toddler, more or less. Or not a toddler is a little bit earlier, more like, let's say, 6 to 7 year old child, maybe in the way how it talks. 50 coherent words, that was it. But together, Jay and me, we were just thinking about what could be the future. Where can we develop this into? And I can really see it in our history ever since we founded the company in 21, that with every year we've unlocked a new milestone where we just got more adoption. Yeah, we went from a small product description tool over to a proper writing tool, which integrates into whatever text box you're working in, over to now a general assistant, which in particular accelerates when it comes to building on top of your knowledge and building on top of the behavior you would like it. Today we say TextCortex is the platform which helps you to create, manage, and interact with a team of AI agents wherever you're also working with.
Okay. And Baris, what attracted you to the organization once they came to your attention?
Well, I think the attention to the focus, like the focus on business cases, was what attracted me. Like as Dominik put it, it wasn't just, oh, let's build an AI company, or like let's build this AI. It was like there was a purpose behind it. Like the way TextCortex started was basically an app to create product descriptions. And we will talk about this more later on, but everything is pretty much finding those business applications and how, as you said, those business applications can be augmented with artificial intelligence and implemented across the whole organization. So the focus was pretty much what attracted me. And basically, it wasn't even called like generative AI back then. It was like natural language processing, NLP, or like natural language generation, NLG.
Proper nerd term.
Yeah. Then it became Gen AI, and now everything is an agent.
Yeah.
That's also a different discussion.
Or now everybody, the first people just talk about MCPs and like, okay, guys, I mean, ultimately we all just look for something which assists us in our daily life.
Exactly. But so, then again, sorry.
Go ahead.
I always grown startups. I never worked in a corporate before. I always loved building stuff, building products, digital products, and marketing them, growing them, and basically building building a product with my team to serve customers or users, pretty much something that they love truly.
And if you look back at the very beginning of the organization, how has the problem evolved, or has the problem that you're addressing stayed the same in an organization, but your approach to helping them implement AI change?
Let me take this question. It changed a lot. I mean, in particular, because it's a field where every 2 to 3 months there's something completely groundbreaking being thrown onto the market. And in particular, where many of our 2 days enterprise customers, what they like about us is that they have one trusted partner, one trusted platform where they can get all the newest updates in according to their needs. Our whole platform is built like a nice Lego set ultimately. You can have different puzzle pieces or Lego pieces you put together. You can build a tower, you can build a police station or something. This is where we have over the time developed into one thing, which besides having a reliable platform, having a useful platform, what always helped was also, this is a little bit this German culture being infused as well. While everybody was overselling the capabilities of AI, we always stayed humble. We've been in every prospect discussion, every sales discussion, true to our, we had our feet on the ground and told them this is possible, this is not possible. And we also broke a lot of conversations in the very beginning where plenty of people had too big of an expectation what AI is capable of doing today. There's still some very clear limitations where us both and our full sales team, also our engineers, need to re-educate on a daily basis what is possible today, what might be possible in the future, but what we can help with is a little bit already giving or put a fence around what they can achieve with us in particular. Also giving our perspective, what will happen in the next 2 years and what they can build on. We have a huge German publicly traded customer who built an own AI assistant. This typical buy versus build decision. And there are many people who will tell you that building a good AI assistant is easy. It's the deeper you go, the more difficult it gets. It's this typical knowledge curve, which people need to experience as some sort. They build it themselves. Quite a bit of an investment. It took them quite a while to build it as well. And then afterwards, nobody could really maintain this anymore. So it was working on an older large language model, yielding subpar results ultimately in comparison to whatever is on the market. And there's also one thing which today is one of our biggest USPs, besides also a certain European regulated data security, is also being an aggregator. We literally sit in front for our customers, in front of potential AI technology providers and say, hey, what is your data processing agreement? Do you have a zero data retention policy? Are you doing any type of retraining? Because this is all stuff we don't allow for our enterprise customers because it would break the trust.
Also,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
On top of that, one remark. I think what changed because market is evolving so fast, or like seemingly, when it comes to like technological advancements, it is evolving advanced, but enterprises or even like small, medium enterprises, they don't act that fast. And as you said, they're building internally an internal AI tool, but there is no business case most of the time. They have a chat interface very similar, or most of them just keep on using Copilot, for example, because they have already an existing Microsoft plan. And again, it's the adoption problem. Yes, you have your toy to play with, but most of the people, like knowledge workers as well, they don't know how it can be utilized to make their lives easier. And basically, that's why you need to sometimes, put a fence to it, you can say that, or have a system or like a curriculum in place to basically start from the very beginning of how AI should be used responsibly, while you're also aware of its limitation, and you know that you can't just blindfoldedly trust the responses.
How do you then, as an organization, help a business, a client, actually get started so they can define, here's how we actually start implementing AI in the organization, and not go off on a crazy tangent that this is not going to be good the way it ends?
I think we have plenty of experience with SAP in Germany. I think the most enterprise customizable software there is on this planet, and up until the point nobody can use it anymore. So this is what you really need to also proactively address with the customer. That's what we say, why we do so much expectation management. What is important that in a first type of proof of concept, we get a dedicated team of, let's say, 20 to up to 70 people was the highest what we did in a first POC, and getting people established with it. You need to give them one thing they start loving, in their daily user flow with AI. And what we've seen work really well for us was the concept of knowledge agents. So to give you an understanding, I think you all know the problem that you look in your Google Drive, OneDrive, your Confluence or SharePoint. The search is based on top of keywords. And oftentimes I'm oftentimes missing the keyword for what I'm looking for. I'm a very visual person. Most of the world is, because that's why PowerPoint is so big, for visual storytelling. And this is actually something which our customers also said. We have plenty of consulting customers. They said, I want to search the slide with the chessboard on it. I don't know which type of keyword I've written on it. But this is the type of information where you can create true value by helping people find things faster. We made the benchmarks internally with our customers together as well. Two metrics we usually see there is, first of all, the generation of an AI answer, well referenced with sources which put you down through the sentence, basically where it comes from, takes about 1 minute. If you send out your employees, your team members on the search manually in a OneDrive, for example, or a Google Drive, it will take them on average 5 minutes to find something. And let's be honest, most of our current jobs are working around knowledge. Okay, there's plenty of manufacturing and industrial jobs still, but in the Western world, US, European Union, plenty of knowledge workers now. Usually it takes us then 1 to 2 months to really ingrain this inside of this first POC user base. What we usually try to measure is the first month activation rate, where we usually score 70 to 80%. This is where we basically put down our success metric. People have learned that this works. People continue using it on their daily basis, because everybody needs to search information at least once a day. We measure weekly active users afterwards. And then the more trust the enterprise users build over time, they slowly start become more creative. So what we usually see is 3 to 6 months after having done the first POC rollout, corporate employees will start sparking with new ideas. So to say, the ignition suddenly turned on, and we had the craziest things already built then with our, with our set of Lego stones. people started recognizing invoices and generated metadata for that. Yeah, they MVP'd this on our platform. They asked us, can we productionize this on a scale? They got an API endpoint for that in the end. People started, this whole metadata mining field was nothing we were aware of in the beginning, but we've seen multiple customers basically start using it. Now, ever since we became also more focused around building these set of tools around an agent. Think about it like a plumber. A plumber comes with the right hat on and with a what is the plunging stick? I don't know the word at the moment, but you get what I mean. You expect your handyman to come with a certain set of tools. This is also what we've very humanly built inside of the platform. And today I just see our enterprise users, they share those agents with each other. Every person has a different agent they like. One of them has a special email agent. The other one has a Picasso to generate images basically for slide decks. The other one just has this knowledge agent. And ultimately it feels as simple as taking somebody in a Slack or Microsoft Teams channel, just that it's not a human colleague, but rather, an artificial colleague. And if you achieve this level of confidence in your within your corporate employees, then you also put your whole organization on the right track to flow with what is coming ahead and what will happen in the next 5 years in terms of productivity gains with that.
The best part is after, let's say, we always constantly keep them updated, keep them well equipped with necessary knowledge, how to navigate through our platform and so on. But at some point it becomes like an autopilot, and they basically organize workshops internally. And with 50 people workshops, which one of their team leads, for example, host, and basically share learnings on what worked the best, how to customize their agent step by step, and the whole experience, then it's just multiplied by the whole organization slowly.
Baris, in a prior conversation we had with you, you had mentioned that one of your key differentiators is education. You're just constantly educating your client set. How do you go about educating them?
We have a curriculum. Of course, it wasn't easy, but we start, but not only educating about our platform, but we start with the very basics. Even where does the term artificial intelligence comes from, how to use it, what is a prompt, what is an instruction, and it's basically we're trying to ingrain the sense that it's very similar to talking to a person. If your instructions are bad and unclear or ambiguous, the AI wouldn't be able to also give you a well-structured output. Yes, there can be some structured response in that, but it might not be what you want exactly. So it's very simple. We're basically start educating them how to form clear instructions around certain business cases, how to achieve that. And this could be as simple as how to create an Excel formula. For example, I don't use, or some of these search engines, for example, to find out certain Excel formulas, I just use my AI agent, and I'm trying to basically explain what I want to achieve, what kind of results I want to get from my values, and then it just forms the full Excel formula for me. So this kind of stuff we're trying to educate around tangible use cases, so that it can immediately spark what we're talking about in their minds.
We have one thing to add on top of Baris. I mean, we started with this very early because as a generative AI company, we are one of the older ones already. So our first customers needed to be human beings, individuals, no B2B touched in the year 2022 generative AI properly. The term was just coined at this time. But what we did is build a network of over 10,000 landing pages. And Baris was responsible mostly for that. Each with a sole focus. If somebody reads them, they should at least get one nugget of value out of that, where we don't ask for anything in return. And this is also which very sustainably brought us constant traffic to the page of also high intent people. They want to get education. Now that's where we mostly live off, is a lot of inbound, which reaches us. And then over the last 18 to 24 months, we just built out this whole B2B function and enterprise function where we took over the same values. It's like whatever interaction we do, we need to give at least one value nugget in there. And if it's not, if we can't solve the issue for the person, we give them a hint where the proper door is to walk through and get the solution they're looking for. I mean, if I think about how many discussions we had about literally full workflow automation, so complicated that literally the only company you can ask for is an SAP. Or I also remember in the very early days, a lot of people asked us for meeting transcripts with things which back in the days we didn't do. But then at least we had a recommendation for the next software provider, which went into the right direction then. Yeah, and I think this is also one of these humble honesties and just obsession to create value, which is important to build this trust. And then at one point, people registered, people became happy customers, people just continued using it also through interactions like this. There's a face connected to this whole company. Everybody of us said at least once in front of a camera, and it's quite easy to talk with any of us.
So you started your business in 2022, correct?
2021.
2021. And today we're at 2025 and you have 2 million users, active users. Mm-hmm. That's an incredible growth trajectory. In the beginning, did you look at it and say, education has to be one of our key differentiators? Or was that something that you learned as you started implementing itself?
No, that actually came because back in the days, one of our US competitors raised a pretty significant round of venture capital. And that was also just when Baris started. And we basically called out that we cannot fight on a ground with somebody who has, a good $100 million in capital when we just do performance ads. We need to do something which is more sustainable and which lead us long-term results. And what will never go away is, the need of people and customers to get education as well as support, as well as customer success management or consulting also as you do it, for example. So back in, when was it, mid-22, around the same time when Baris joined, we called out for content excellency. And we said, whatever we can do to have evergreen traffic drivers and interest drivers for us, we're going to build them. And that's how we got to these 10,000 landing pages out there, most of them being blog posts. Plenty of, I think, how many? About 150 YouTube videos we have today. We have plenty of creator partnerships we also do. So we have a very selected base of YouTubers and even TikTokers where we say these guys provide quality education. There's also a lot of wrongdoing and overselling in the AI space. But we found a handful of creators who really do an amazing job to speak from honest value cases they use for themselves. I was born and raised on German fun fairs. I love food. Baris is smiling because he constantly needs to hear that. But I love food. I love cooking, and I like to enjoy my food. It needs to taste well. And this is basically what we also build into or on top of software. It needs to be an amazing experience and it needs to taste well if I use the product. I shouldn't have a bad aftertaste because somebody oversold me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Many organizations in that AI area, they prefer innovation or they go to innovation versus implementation. But it appears as though you've been able to marry those two ideas, innovate and implement. How did you do that?
I think it came by nature, and I think we are one of the first cases of an AI native company. So, we oftentimes get the feedback that we look like a much bigger company, even though we're just 20 employees. But all of us are native users of AI. Our whole product team uses Cursor, for example, this new AI coding tool, which makes them very extremely fast when it comes to testing out new products. We have extremely passionate and high energy people who just love to, whatever is new, test it out, see how we can apply that. And on the other side, I told you a little bit about where we have our culture of service obsession, of value obsession, where it comes from. And ultimately, that's the out of personal belief, I think there's always one thing you can do better than any competitor. They can have the best tech, whatever, but you can always have the best customer service, and it will be extremely valuable to your end customers, and they will love you, and they will real story, but a Fortune 500 customer of ours in the last 12 months, 6x their account with us. Why? Because we both love what they are doing, out of conviction. We both actually also involved still in the deal just because we love their industry. But why did they expand so much? Because they enjoy the good service we bring them. It's not only a technological, innovative platform. No, it's also just, we take you by the hand, your whole team, and we try to empower you to reach higher spheres.
Okay. What does if I can ask you, Baris, what's a successful implementation partner look like to TextCortex?
I think being obsessed about education is the first thing we would look for in a partner. And that's basically what we do. Also, all of the accumulated training materials that we have, that we're not just like, hiding them behind some sort of like paywalls or like lead generation form or something like that. It's all online in the public. We have a lot of videos out there, materials on how to do better prompting. It's not like we're doing this, behind the cameras or like with closed session, Zoom sessions or something like that. Everything is out there. And we're just trying to educate them around the value proposition we have and try to ingrain this vision. And then most of our partners are pretty much well off replicating our playbook there. And we also see very good feedback coming from their clients, because as they educate their clients and their leads on our platform, this is basically like the feedback volume that we receive gets multiplied and basically like affects our product development cycle positively, so that it's constantly that we're building things that our customer wants. And this is also this also brings innovation, and it's basically like a demanded innovation, so to say. Most of the customers or users, they know what the problem is, but they might not know the best solution for it. So this is basically where we put the effort most of the time. But also adopt, like, I think why we're also successful in innovating stuff is basically, or how we become an AI native, is most of our team members are also like product builders, regardless of whether they are engineers or not. I'm not an engineer or like software developer, but I build products myself with the help of AI. And this is something insane. I can't imagine myself doing this maybe like 5 years ago, but now it's possible, and it's like magic to me. And I want everyone else to see this magic, use this magic to empower themselves and increase their quality of work. And when we just show this, how this can be possible around a tangible use case that can spark something in their mind, then it's naturally adopted. It results in 75% adoption rate in the first month, and this gets multiplied as they also share information, exchange tips, quick hacks, how to get better results out of such tools, not particularly our tool as well, in general from AI. And then, it brings 2 million users.
Yeah, your story is incredible, the growth and the adoption and your focus on education. What do you see the difference between European users and US users?
Yes, it's a personal mission of mine at the moment, in particular to educate people here on the European side. But I can also tell this a little bit more vice versa. It's two extremes. You have this typical US American culture, being bold, move forward, learn fast, also break things along the way, at least, but get in touch with it. Yeah, test it out, build a small space of, even if it's just 5 to 10 people. But here are the resources, go for it, test it. What we've seen though with some of our US and in particular the Fortune 500 customers is that sometimes you break something which you could preemptively maybe have thought about. That oftentimes comes when you think about terms like cybersecurity, data security. We have a Fortune 500 customer, for example, who doesn't use any type of OpenAI integration on our platform. They gave us the requirement that they want everything connected with OpenAI, even if it's via Microsoft, is turned off. Why? Because their business is the content they are creating. They're in the entertainment space. So if there would ever be a training happening on their interactions with AI, that basically carves away all the intellectual property they have. And this is what they want to prevent. And that's where we also currently see this trend forming. Yeah, I mean, our active sales team, they are operating in Europe. Everything we get from the US is inbound. They found our content, might it be a video or a blog post, and that's how they get into our sales funnel. One recurring theme we see there at the moment is a little bit the storyline what Switzerland is for money, is the European Union becoming when it comes to data security and data privacy. I mean, by far we have the heaviest types of regulation when it comes to 3 different spaces. There's on the one side typically GDPR, and as a German player, the Germans even put things on top of it. Then you have the things like the Digital Markets Act as well, which prevents you partially from connecting data in between. Plus also now very newly the EU AI Act. Yeah? Where even here, and this is something which I criticize and very openly talk about here in Europe, is that I see companies blocking themselves where literally there is a huge pull by the employees to adopt generative AI tools, but the organizations are not moving because suddenly there's a data protection officer fighting the information security officer. Now a new contender called AI ethics officer enters, and these guys get lost about the definition of sensitive data. Even though I think we can all agree that things like an email, an address, a social security number, credit card number, this is sensitive data. This should stay far away from any type of access, which you wouldn't like it. This is one thing which I usually talk about in between. What I love in particular about the few US American customers we have, and I think this is some sort of a survivor bias as well, or these guys actively approach us for what we are. Ultimately, with you, for example, we also see another side of US customers, some who are more concerned about their data security, for example, as well. There, I'm very curious. How is this excitement I usually see in US customers translating then in also actual long-term relationships? Mm-hmm. Because for us on the European side, it is harder to bring somebody on board. But if you have them once, you have deep trust, huge loyalty as well. And that's also why I usually say, and I share this culture to our whole sales team, I don't care about a new sales being made or a new customer being acquired. What I really care about is this customer in 12 months still there? Did he enjoy his whole experience? Or did they even expand in between? I mean, we have a huge automotive hidden champion here in Germany. 2 months ago, they sent us a 2-kilo package full of their merchandise. That's basically what I tell everybody who works in customer success in our team, saying, would your customer send you 2 kilograms of their merch at one point because they were so satisfied with what you delivered to them?
That's a tremendous story. It's excellent. How about you, Baris? In your day-to-day experience, what do you see the big difference being between Europe and USA?
I would say it's about the feedback that they give. For example, US customers, they experiment a lot on the platform. It's like the same level, let's say. Of course, though, I'm just comparing active customers that we have in the base. Both use, and the level of feedback they give, like Europeans are more harsher and more direct. I think it's also the culture. And US customers most of the time don't
Are you
even
saying
give
US
that
customers are more polite?
Polite and apt, like they don't necessarily give feedback even though they don't like the experience. At least this is our case. It has been the case for us at TextCortex. So we have to elicit that feedback somehow by just proactively asking, oh, how is your experience going? How is it going? Do you have any feedback for us? And so on. But for example, in the European customer base, if they don't like something, they immediately send us this size of an email, this, and this don't satisfy me. Please fix. And yeah, we just fix that thing. I mean, it's funny, but I actually also wanted to, have the US customers to give more feedback. But yeah, you can't expect everyone to be the same. We have processes for each kind of audience that we have. For example, as Dominik put, we also have even the curriculum that we have when it comes to education. For US customers, it's all more about the beginnings, more about like the business cases, while the European customers, the curriculum starts with security and privacy.
That's true.
So those kind of subtle stuff, like where we start and how do we start teaching and showing them how it's not a concept to be afraid of, and basically a tool to open.
Say a really good thing. I mean, this is something which I've seen across the Atlantic Bridge. Employees being afraid of what is coming ahead of them. I mean, where we usually say, hey, this is what is today built in terms of generative AI capabilities and tools and platforms you can use is there to complement your work, to get away with a lot of the this work nobody wants to do. I mean, for example, what I use our one agent on our platform daily is a HubSpot agent who in the end just, if I have a good customer call, it has a certain setting, how I like my calls or how I like my reflections to be structured. And after call, because I don't like to invite an AI agent directly in the call, it's always a little bit awkward. But then I just sit down afterwards for 30 seconds, speak down what the call was, some personal things I've seen in my calling partner, some problems they have. And then it formulates me out. I can just copy paste that into HubSpot again and or into any type of CRM. And this is what also needs to arrive with those corporate employees that and Europeans are even more afraid than it. Yeah. But this technology is there to augment, to help. There's plenty of things we do today, in particular when you look into the compliance space as well. I've seen it from our own team. One of the most used agents in our own usage is all around compliance, searching information, complying to information, answering on top of customer requests. And this is a lot where a human would rather like to validate information rather than search and create all of this documentation. So this is also the level you need to achieve. And I've been in discussions with European workers' councils on their concerns of from something obvious as surveillance. There's also some software providers who go into this space now with that, which I also culture-wise, I don't appreciate. Not everything needs to be known by the employee, is my opinion. There also should be some freedom for creativity. That's, I think, because of your question, how were we that innovative as well as capable of acquiring people? Because we all have creative freedom to do crazy things partially as well. And with that, I now lost the other point I wanted to say.
I think it's really important that people understand, particularly in the US, it's how do we get started? A lot of people are asking that question and they keep circling the question and they can't come up with an answer on something like that. So if I can, using TextCortex, can I build an agent into my efforts using your platform, into my business efforts?
Defining those business efforts is where we start most of the time.
Okay.
Like what is it? Is it like email writing? Is it like creating memos, maybe like internal reports or something? Because into business efforts is pretty much where everyone starts. But then, if you start building or like try to incorporate AI, you basically just get lost in so many possibilities. And then you don't see real impact because it's so vague that you use it here and there and you can't just measure it properly. And we usually start with, as I said multiple times already, with a solid business case. And even one of our customers don't call us by our platform name, like TextCortex, is a document search app. So this is how defined it is already.
Mm-hmm.
This is where they start, of course. It's just like an entry point. And once it becomes clear, you anyways explore different use cases for your businesses as you get more value out of it along the way.
And in guiding them, it seems like a lot of personalized education and question and answers and guidance on your part. How do you do that with employees of 20 and users of 2 million?
That's the beauty of, if you have so many users, you have standardized a lot of things. So a lot of the libraries we offer are basically tailored to industries. So if I look today, some of our top performing industries are anything around automobile, certainly Germany.
Mm-hmm.
We all know German car brands. It's insurance. It is professional services such as consulting or the legal area. Entertainment is something which I never expected, but came inbound and works out great. Also because people are a little bit more easier to adopt. The industries I've named before are a little bit more hesitant when it comes to adoption. And then we just really focus down on how should education on scale look for each of these industries. We've did it on our website first, offering courses around each industry. And then respectively, it was quite easy for us now because the material is already there. The perspectives are already there. And then if we go in a sales or customer success effort, we just build on already existing timelines, so to say. Everything we do with a customer needs to be put on a timeline. We have people who just execute on bringing people on board, who every day just sit down and onboard the next customer, onboard the next customer, onboard the next customer. And also giving the right spaces. When do we customize those sessions? We have what we call an AI driver license, for example. Free lectures of that is standardized. It's what we have seen working in the past and seen working even with people who are not tech savvy. So we first go through these stages. And then usually at the end of this driver license, then we have a very custom session where there's then one person usually spending 30 to 60 minutes in customizing this whole session upfront in preparation. And then you go through that in a Q&A and basically show people around how you can move forward. But the simplicity of Lego is something which we not only build into our software product, but ultimately also in the whole education part, how we basically bring people on board.
Okay. I, as part of my research, got on your site, and I'm going to use the term. Yes, it did. I'm going to use the word sales agent, and that may be used loosely on my part, but there was a sales agent, and it was a lady's name, and I can't remember the name that you gave her, but I started asking questions, and I was amazed at the depth of response that she could give in automatically understanding what a sales funnel is, how you populate it. I asked questions about each stage of the sales funnel, and the responses that came back, honestly, I was blown away with it. And I thought, I've never seen anything this sophisticated out of the box, so to speak. And my question was, how did you do that? And is that something that would be available to an end user client of yours, or do they build something like that on their own?
Many of the things which we offer today as well is partially also we've learned it from our customers. Our whole customer success process, which is a 10 to 15 page document as well, what we go through with the customers, is all learned and improved by direct customer interaction, what worked and what not. Respectively, also the use cases we have seen. So where I said in the beginning, this knowledge agent was something which across the board and across departments, people can easily understand. A sales agent is something very specific where somebody in compliance, quality management, or marketing, maybe a little bit they could understand there, could use it. But we first focused on very generalistic things, and then we trickled down to more specialized agents. One thing, to be honest, though, as well, to mention to it, the large language models itself become extremely capable in being kind of like a private consultant when it comes to different fields. I myself, I'm a co-founder, I'm a generalist. I'm very broad in all my skill sets. Depth, I need to either hire somebody, but before I hire somebody, I first ask AI, what could be a good brain sparing opportunity to go deep somewhere. The topic of sales agent, I think, is currently a bit, I look at it very critical, because there's also many companies who try to sell you something where hands off, you don't need to operate your sales anymore. This is all an agent. I don't believe that this is a plausible future. Because every go-to-market motion has a halftime, with chemical components. And those sales agents, as they were advertised in particular in Silicon Valley, they were huge hits in selling. They were capable of raising a lot of money because the proposition was so nice, because nobody wants to do the hard job of sales because it's a highly rejective, a highly rejective task. But in the end, you cannot forget the human component in whoever you are selling to is most likely a human as well. So you need to give some human service to it. That's also why and I'm very open to it, we hire SDRs. We call them AI consultants partially, because this is also their job. They shouldn't only sell, they should, in the first meeting, tell people, are we the right person or not? Or is there another tool they should maybe reach out to?
I mean, it's also fun. I think it's funny because it's kind of like a bubble, I think, that we're in now, because I think the irony of this news was also funny. Salesforce new AI agent, like this SDR agent. Salesforce, I think, hired 200 SDRs or something to sell this function to sell this function to other companies. It's kind of ironic now. But yeah, most of them, I think, also comes from the overestimation. And similarly, it's all about like managing expectations. So when you say that it's a sales agent, how can I build this? It's again, sales is like a huge topic that has several, if not hundreds of sub areas where you can apply, like from beginning of the first touch point till the close, right? So which part of your sales process would you like to have this AI agent work for? So I have, for example, one sales AI agent for just meetings, to grab me the details of certain meetings from 2 weeks ago, because I have so many calls in a week and it's impossible for me to remember all the crucial details that can affect the direction of the whole deal. So what I just do is I just pull up my agent, ask, where we left off with this client, with this lead.
5 minutes before.
Yeah, 5 minutes before. I get a summary rundown. These were the action items from your side. And bring me those files and so on. Then I get redirected to those pages. And then I'm ready for the meeting or like the next steps, pretty much. Same also applies, or like if I'm writing an email. So this again is a part of sales process, but it's just like one process that I got help from my AI agent. So those kind of things needs to be materialized.
If I could clarify then, a new user, a new client of TextCortex, these knowledge agents, do they come as part of it, or do they build them on their own?
Let's say it like this. What we usually like to funnel people into first is an agent which has access to the internet. So you have a knowledge agent which Googles for you. And this can be used for, if you're a consultant, to do market research, but could be also used as a salesperson to do research about the person you're talking with. That's also what we've seen. And if the first trust points are built with that, and people see that they also can trust the referencing we give them into the answers, that's a huge, big point. There's plenty of products which it sounds very convincing because the AI is built like this, that it sounds convincing. But if you would go deeper into the sources, nothing makes sense anymore. And this is also a trade-off where we also constantly educate users, you need to verify what the AI tells you. The AI is not all-knowing. Respectively, you get these referencing nodes everywhere. And as soon as the trust is built, and then people start connecting their Google Drive, for example. I also have our whole enterprise sales Google Drive material connected. And I can also just ask there, hey, how did our non-disclosure agreement look like with customer A? What did we write about the zero data retention in the data processing agreement of customer Z? And basically can go deeper in that after I build the trust that, hey, actually the system works. It does what it promises me. And then I can go deeper. And that's the easiest way to get started. And then afterwards, think about it literally. People build agent after agent after agent. It's like these little Lego figures. And then they just attach a use case to each of these figures. You can just call them with a little @ sign, like on Microsoft Teams on Slack, and you give them a task.
Okay.
But essentially, just to to sum up everything, there is a default agent that you can just get started with. It's just that like you can just upload a file and get some very detailed responses out of your document or like set of files. So there is a default agent for you to get started. But for business cases that might be really relevant for you, for example, like SOP creation. Every company has its own way of creating standard operation procedures, and it's different, right? You have to create an AI agent or like tell your agent how you're doing it. So it's part of your agent again. So whenever you want to create a new SOP, it's always the same format that your company, in a way that your company already does, because it knows how an SOP looks like for your company from the other files you might have connected.
True. We also have an operations manager shared. So there are some just plain base standard operational procedures, processes, SOPs, where if I'm really good in establishing new processes, I'm really bad in operating them. I'm just like at one point I need to move on. I have some other problems somewhere else. And that's usually then when we hire somebody or somebody in the existing teams is picking that up. But at least the knowledge is then centralized in this one, I think I called him Olaf, isn't it? Yeah, Olaf, the operations manager. And then you can, for example, ask, how do we save costs with our email infrastructure? We send 40 million emails per year. And that's also how we accelerate in education. You will constantly hear from us. You are once in our spiderweb and we will educate you to Narnia, basically. Then somebody else can pick up on it and has a good rundown what needs to happen. And in the worst case, the AI will also tell you, hey, the process owner of that is Dominik. So if something is unclear, reach out to Dominik.
Okay. How do I know in building the agents, using the agents, that my data is safe and secure? I know Europe is big on security, but how do I prevent two things? Number one, my competitor from finding out how I'm building my SOPs or doing my sales processes. And number two, how do I know or not know, are you using my data to train the big models out there? So my, if you will, data and information is all over the web then.
Yes. First of all, and that's also why we are a trusted partner, we stand in front of our customers and with every supplier of certain AI technology or any type of integration service, we have a standard list of what we are checking. Oftentimes it needs to be European hosting in general. That's why we like to host all of our stuff. It is that they have certain security certificates, the SOC 2 attestation, or even better, ISO 27001. We screen the data processing agreement. We screen whether they have zero data retention, which is actually most important. If they sign down that they retain zero of your data, they also won't train on it. But that's also why we, for example, not directly work together with an OpenAI. We are getting supplied by a Microsoft, by a GCP, by an AWS, by also German and European data center providers when it comes to hosting of open source models, for example, that this data ownership is first of all, sticking with you. You have control of it. The only people who can access it is you, built by proper data separation. I have to say, though, that the biggest problem when it comes to data security, and this is oftentimes what I tell our German customers, because they expect an Alcatraz being built in terms of data security, that it doesn't help if you have Alcatraz if your entry door is out of glass, and that's oftentimes the employee. The phishing is by far the biggest threat to any type of data leakages and so on. Also, our team is trained around or in general data privacy, AI ethics, data security, phishing attempts. So that's also where us as a certified organization in this space as well. And there's a trust center with over 100 controls which we comply with to keep data safe, have in place such that future enterprises are trusting us what we are doing.
Okay. Overall, where do you see the next 2 years going in the development of TextCortex?
In the next 2 years, we will further and further develop that this agent building as well becomes easier. That also the interaction with those agents will be even deeper integrated. Yeah, we have products like our browser extension or our Mac app, where, the base principle is, that's a German saying, the bone is not coming to the dog needs to come to the bone. Mm-hmm. And that's also sort of personal belief. I want to use AI where I work. I hate context switches. You might know this this refrigerator problem. If you walk through the door to your kitchen, you have forgotten what you wanted to get out of the fridge if you're hungry. And this is something very similar which happens in the digital behavior. Every time you switch between a tab in your browser or just in between applications, you lose context and you lose a little bit of information what you want to do. So 2 things I'm very excited for in the near future is, first of all, easier creation of agents, them having more understanding of your organization and with minimum input can work with or can help you create more agents. Then it is this deeper integration. Another point I also look for is even deeper knowledge understanding. I would say that we are very advanced when it comes to, let's say, deep mining of information for the customer's sake, which then ultimately leads to better trustable answers. Up to, every document we can get up to 200, 300 data points out of that, from who authored the document to what type of 20 keywords is it relevant to, what each section of this annual report, for example, is relevant in. So these are 3 things. One last thing is write access to AI agent. Currently, we heavily work with read access. That means it has access to your information, can work on top of it, but it couldn't enter anything in it. Or it couldn't write an email for you. It cannot go into your bank account or whatever. That's also, I would be also a little bit cautious with giving an agent access to my bank account at the current time. But this will also now come in the general space, because people have built more trust that if the right permission is given and the AI asks you, hey, I currently want to do this action. Do you allow me that? And that's also something which we very soon will build into our platform.
Okay. I would maybe add, again, some business cases to that. For example, we actually have started building this infrastructure. So say we're not there yet, but for example, we have meeting transcription integration. So if you're using, let's say, Microsoft Teams, you can just sync your Microsoft Teams meetings and get those transcripts out of that into a knowledge base. And imagine if AI will also be able to make sense of those meetings. For example, let's say we use HubSpot a lot. Some companies use Salesforce to deal with funnel pipeline operations. And let's say my AI agent can understand from a meeting transcript, this deal moved from demo stage to proposal sent or offer sent kind of stuff, and then just go in and do that action for me. And of course, the way we're currently thinking of starting this kind of interactions is, of course, with the human approval. So, the AI will kind of like ask you, I realize you just got out of a meeting with this prospect. Would you like me to take this action for you in HubSpot or in Salesforce? So those kind of interactions where you just operate in one interface and just affect multiple different interfaces where you will anyway spend your time on. And instead of switching between 5 different tools and tabs, you'll be able to operate in one unified mission control panel.
Okay. We've talked an awful lot about a lot of the technology and what the amazing job that in performance of your organization. The name of your company is TextCortex. Why did you choose that name?
That goes back to my co-founder, because back in the days, we were always into search engine optimization, thinking about the ways how can people find us the fastest. And back in the days, text generation was something plausible. So that's where the text in the name comes from. And Cortex is the part of the brain who basically does the thinking for your text. So that's where the name comes from. It had its positive and negative side. Certainly, the difficulty of the name, in particular the 2 X's in the name, helped us to be remembered, because people who really try it, they don't forget us that easily. But on the other side, also, it is. I've heard all different variations of our company and brand name so far. That's also, for example, why we brand the alter ego of our AI more as Zeno. We try to have this umbrella with TextCortex, and in the future there will be multiple different products built under it, from this agent Lego platform we have today, so to say, over to a proper workflow builder, over to also a more embeddable experience with those. So there's a lot of different things planned. With that, also respectively, some different branding decisions will be taken.
Okay. The stories of how a company names itself is always an interesting story.
Yeah.
That's why I ask.
Yeah.
So we talked an awful lot. Again, we talked a lot about the technology and everything. I want to bring in a human element, if I can, in the conversation here. Dominik, you mentioned that you love food and the taste of food, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
What's your go-to food right now, and what's your favorite wine?
My favorite wine?
Yes.
Oh, that's a beautiful question, because I come from the wine region in Germany. Actually, it's Riesling. Rheingau and Mosel is known for that really well. I actually just talked to a huge US founder who became a wine sommelier about this, and we got talking into that. My favorite food is usually a nice pasta with scampis, with spinach in it, some good garlic. In my family, they always said, hey, if you want to eat well, you need to cook well. I think my partner is benefiting from this family tradition.
Good. My favorite wine, one of my favorite wines, definitely is a Riesling. So I align with you very well on that, and that's part of my German background, I think. Baris, what's the future look like for you personally?
I think, actually, my background, I graduated from teaching. So I come from a teaching background, like literally English language teaching originally. And I somehow ended up in this tech scene, doing marketing and somehow. But essentially, you already picked it up from what I've been telling you. I love teaching a lot, and I still see myself in however many years pass, just teaching about new stuff to my environment, to my circle, to customers, to users, always teaching.
To new team members.
It's all about teaching, onboarding, sharing experiences, sharing knowledge.
That's key to success. I mean, if you don't offer that, you have a big gap in competitive disadvantage in your company. So my compliments on that. Dom, what about you? What's your future look like next couple of years personally?
Oh. We internally always say there's not that many European competitors for us here. We have the opportunity to build such a European sourced company, which, similar to an SAP, is known all around the world. And respectively, there's this chance. We have a lot of positive reinforcement by customers. And this is ultimately what I always used to say. You only have a business if you have happy customers who also love you and keep on, paying for the value you create for them. And I think this is a base principle we will operate for many happy years.
I have a feeling that if you continue on your trajectory and you maintain and align with your core values and the basics of the organization, that you're going to have a very good experience in America. So
that's also where a lot of our principles, we have 12 principles. They are mostly coming from US American inspiration. So
okay.
We try to establish this here as well a little bit in this.
Great. If somebody wants to talk to you personally, either of you, what's the best way to contact you?
I would say just LinkedIn. Shoot me a DM, I'll respond. I'm very responsive, even in the middle of the night, because I mostly game, like playing games a lot.
Okay. For me, it's also LinkedIn or Twitter or X today, even though sometimes I consider, am I still staying on X.com? On the other side, if they would like to chat with our whole team, we have a Discord server with how many people now? I think approaching 10,000 community members, where our whole team is also very active, where we love that somebody jumps in, just gives their feedback. This is also where, one of our first US implementation partners from, was it Kansas or Arkansas? Kansas City. I always mix those up. How he got into touch with us and why he sticks with us, because where can you have direct exposure to the team so easily by just tagging them inside of a community?
Okay, Dominik and Baris, very interesting conversation. I thank you for your time. And I am very interested in staying in contact and tracking your success, because I am sure it's going to be pretty significant. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for watching this episode of Implementors. If you found this conversation valuable, please click the like button. It helps others facing similar challenges discover and benefit from these conversations. We also welcome your insights and reflections, so please share your thoughts in the comments. We truly value thoughtful engagement from leaders like you. If these conversations resonate with the work you're doing, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to stay updated on future episodes. And if someone in your network would benefit from this dialogue, consider passing it along. Great implementation and execution always starts with great conversations. And at the end of the day, ideas are just the beginning. It's implementation and execution that drives meaningful results. So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time. And as always, stay grounded, stay curious, and keep implementing.